Thank you, John, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the lightning round of 3-minute presentations. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the work we're doing in the U.S. To improve digital ad quality measurement, and specifically related to the 3MS initiative in the U.S., Making Measurement Make Sense. If you're not familiar with it, it's a joint initiative of the ANA, the 4As, and the IAB, who, along with the MRC, are setting out to improve the overall state of digital measurement, make it more comparable to measurement in other media types. So these two key foundational goals, in a nutshell, of 3MS, make these foundational metrics for digital more directly comparable to those used in other media, and more effectively measure digital advertising's contribution to brand building, both alone and in combination with advertising in other media types. So how we've set about to try to achieve these goals are incorporating the concept of opportunity to see in impression measurement, and you're probably familiar with the work we've done on viewable impressions. I'll talk about it in a minute. Ultimately moved the currency from a currency based on gross impression counts to one that's based on in-target audiences. Also, identify and standardize brand performance metrics that matter, to use the phrase that 3MS initially came up with. And finally, to develop and improve and, importantly, validate measures of ad effectiveness. So the way we're going about doing that, turning these kind of broad principles into realities that the marketplace can transact on, is we've addressed each of these areas of measurement in a sequential fashion. So beginning with served impressions, we're currently updating, modernizing the standards for measuring what constitutes a served impression, but more importantly, moving away from the concept of a served impression to viewable impressions, where opportunity to see is established. We've done that with viewable impression guidelines for desktop in 2014, and last year we came out with the mobile viewable impression guidelines. We're also enhancing the filtration for invalid traffic through standards we issued in 2015 and now require of any MRC accredited digital measurer that they're compliant with the general invalid traffic provisions of that standard, as well as setting up a framework for accrediting companies for sophisticated invalid traffic. And White Ops will be speaking shortly. They're accredited by MRC for their SIVT. Importantly, assignment of audience characteristics. We're developing standards for that, and in fact, within a couple of weeks, we'll be issuing a public comment version of a draft for digital audience measurement standards, and we're beginning work in the coming months for cross-media audience measurement standards, and many of you in this room, I suspect, may be involved in the working group on this along with us. And our work to date has been largely focused on improving measures of ad delivery for digital advertising. We're transitioning into more focus on those measures of ad effectiveness by doing work on engagement metrics that we're starting this year as well as building better ad effectiveness and ROI measures. So we've done some work in pieces on these latter 2 points, particularly social media measurement guidelines that we issued in 2015, and last month we actually issued a document called location-based measurement guidelines, and that definitely goes to that area, number 6, on building better ad effectiveness metrics. And we're also, and we'll talk about how all this fits specifically into the into programmatic when we get into our discussion. But we're also planning to develop guidelines about data quality and what constitutes the data that serves as inputs to programmatic. So with that, I'll conclude my remarks and look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, David.